Beijing has reopened two-way trade from Raswagadi Kerung port in Nepal, which was shut since the start of COVID pandemic. Raswagadi is the oldest trading route between Nepal and China. The goods exported from Nepal are mainly sold in Tibetan cities. As per sources from Raswagadi Custom Office, nearly a dozen containers loaded with Nepali produce have crossed the border till Monday this last week since the reopening of two-way trade. Exports of bamboo bundles, bamboo furniture, and handicraft materials, including copper handicraft materials, are taking place from Raswagadi, which is the international trade point of Nepal with China. At present, 14 containers have been importing goods to Nepal daily via the custom point. But still, Beijing has not allowed the movement of people from the border point. European Union EU has called on China to provide transparent COVID-19 data. A top European health official welcomed the bloc's agreement on a coordinated response to the COVID-19 situation in China and called on Beijing to provide transparent data on its epidemiological situation. In a tweet, European Commissioner for Health and Food Safety welcomed the agreement of member states on a coordinated response to COVID-19 situation in China on Wednesday's EU Integrated Political Crisis Response meeting. The EU official also said that regional, European and global cooperation was the only way to tackle the pandemic. The EU member states have agreed to put in place a recommendation concerning pre-flight COVID-19 testing and mask wearing for passengers arriving from China. World Health Organization Director General Tedros Adhanom has also asked China to share reliable data on COVID hospitalizations and deaths in the country. Recently, India and United Kingdom signed and exchanged letters for Young Professionals Scheme in London. It was conceived as a part of an India-UK Migration and Mobility MOU signed in May 2021 and was announced in November at G20 Summit in Bali. It will permit up to 3,000 of their degree-holding citizens aged between 18 and 30 to live and work in each other's countries for 2 years. The program will be reciprocal, also allowing UK professionals in the same position to participate in a professional exchange by living and working in India. This scheme makes India the first visa national country to benefit from the scheme. Recently, for the first time, physicists at the University of L'Aquila, Italy, have found a complete microscopic understanding of the superconductivity of mercury. In 1911, Dutch physicist Heike Kamerlingh Ons discovered superconductivity in mercury. He found that at a very low temperature called the threshold temperature, solid mercury offers no resistance to the flow of electric current. Scientists later classified mercury as a conventional superconductor because its superconductivity could be explained by the concept of Bardeen-Cooper-Schrieffer BCS theory. In BCS superconductors, vibrational energy released by the grid of atoms encourages electrons to pair up, forming a so-called Cooper pairs. These Cooper pairs can move like a water in a stream, facing no resistance to their flow below a threshold temperature. A material can conduct electricity without any resistance. It is observed in many materials when they are cooled below a critical temperature. That is what we call superconductivity. Mercury is a naturally occurring element that is found in air, water and soil. It is released into atmosphere through natural processes such as weathering of rocks, volcanic eruptions, geothermal activities, forest fires, etc. The recent United Nations report Scientific Assessment of Ozone Depletion 2022 said that Earth's ozone layer is slowly recovering. The successful phasing out of banned substances as envisioned by Montreal Protocol has set the stage for a complete recovery of ozone layer by 2060s. A United Nations backed panel of experts said at the American Meteorological Society's annual meeting on January 8, 2023. Ozone is a gas composed of three atoms of oxygen. It is both a natural and a man made product that occurs in Earth's upper atmosphere, that is, stratospheric ozone, and lower atmosphere, that is, troposphere. Stratospheric ozone is formed naturally through the interaction of solar ultraviolet radiations with molecular oxygen. The ozone layer, approximately 6 to 30 miles above Earth's surface, reduces the amount of harmful UV radiation reaching the Earth's surface. Russia will launch a rescue vessel to the International Space Station next month, February, to bring home three crew members who are in effect stuck in orbit after their original capsule was hit by a meteoroid. The docked Soyuz MS-22 sprang a major leak last month, spraying radiator coolant into space and prompting a pair of cosmonauts to abort a planned spacewalk. The Russian space agency Roscosmos said that the strike caused no immediate threat to the crew of the space station. The Roscosmos said it has decided to bring forward a planned Mars launch of Soyuz MS-23 to 20 February so it can be used to transport the Russian cosmonauts Sergei Prokopyev and Dmitry Petlin and US astronaut Francisco Rubio back to Earth. Space has remained a rare area in which Moscow and Washington has continued cooperation despite Russian special military operations in Ukraine and consequent Western sanction on Russia. Covering 10% of world's hydropower reservoirs with photovoltaics would install electrical capacity equivalent to that provided by all electricity generating fossil fuel plants in operation worldwide. Photovoltaics, floating solar plants, or FSPV, are panel structures that are installed on water bodies like lakes, basins, and reservoirs instead of on solid structures like roof or terrace. The biggest impetus behind the rise of large scale FSPV has been that it doesn't take up any land space, which would be then used for construction and agriculture. The world's first large-scale FSPV system was installed in 2011 in Napa Valley, California. In recent years, floating solar power plants have become part of India's plans of solar expansion. According to a 2020 study by the Energy and Resources Institute, reservoirs cover 18,000 square kilometers in India and can generate 280 gigawatts through floating solar panels. Currently, less than 1% of solar installations are floating. The largest floating solar power plant in India is currently the Ramagundam in Pedapalli district of Telangana, with a capacity of 100 megawatt. A plant is being built on the Narmada Dam in Madhya Pradesh and is being built with a capacity of 600 megawatt, which will soon be the largest floating solar power plant in the world. The project is touted to be worth rupees 3,000 crore. The water's cooling effect makes them more efficient than land-based ones. They don't interfere with desert ecosystem and they keep precious water from evaporating. Even though reservoirs are artificial ecosystems, they provide habitats for wildlife. Sri Lanka has successfully avoided 10-hour power cuts in 2023 after securing a continuous supply of coal. Chairman of Sri Lanka's Public Utilities Commission, Janaga Ratnayake, said the island nation is now in a favorable place regarding coal reserves. He said around 25 coal shipments have been secured for this year, and if 7 to 8 more shipments are managed, the power plants can run uninterrupted till August. Sri Lanka has secured 7 shipments of coal amounting to 58,000 metric tons so far. The state run Ceylon Electricity Board said another 6 or 7 shipments are expected in January. Around 40% of electricity is produced by burning coal. Sri Lanka has been in midst of a severe economic crisis with acute shortage of forex reserves. The island nation was running short of coal at the end of last month and faced a scare of long power cuts. Torrential downpours and damaging winds left hundreds of thousands of homes and businesses without power in California as the border braced for the next onslaught of severe weather. More than 560,000 homes were reported to be still without power in California, according to data from poweroutage.us. At least 6 people have died in severe weather since New Year's weekend, including a toddler killed by a fallen redwood tree crushing a mobile home in Northern California. Forecasters have meanwhile warned of yet another high intensity of dense, moist tropical air in California on Monday with rain and mountain snow. National Weather Service weather alert on Saturday warned that the cumulative effect of successive heavy rainstorms since last December could bring rivers to record high levels and cause flooding across much of central California. Bangladesh has registered a sharp decline of over 75% in the under 5 child mortality rate since 1990, says the just released report prepared at United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF on behalf of United Nations Interagency Group for Child Mortality Estimation. This decline outpaces the global decline of 59% recorded over the same period, calling it a remarkable achievement. The report says that the progress in reduction of under 5 death rate in lower income and lower middle income countries like Bangladesh shows that mortality reduction is possible under varying economic settings. In 1990, the under 5 child mortality rate was 146 per thousand births, which declined to 86 in 2000 and 27 in 2021, which works out to be 5.4% annual decline in the under 5 child mortality rate consistently over 3 decades. The infant mortality rate also declined from 101 deaths per thousand births in 1990 to 23 deaths per thousand births in 2021. The report says that in 2021, 5 million children died before turning 5 years old as they were deprived of basic health care, vaccination, and proper food. During the same period, an estimated 2.1 million children, adolescents, and youth aged 5 to 24 years died in the world. The report shows that more children and youth died in sub-Saharan Africa and Southern Asia than all other regions in 2021. Military helicopters airlifted hundreds of people from communities cut off by what is being dubbed as once-in-a-century floods in Australia's northwest. China has lifted quarantine requirements for inbound travelers, ending almost 3 years of self-imposed isolation, even as the country battles a surge of COVID-19 cases. Republican leader Kevin McCarthy has been elected as the Speaker of U.S. House of Representatives. He was picked after days of election drama, making the election process for electing the Speaker as the longest in 160 years. The billionaire founder of Ant Group, Jack Ma, is to give up control of Chinese fintech giant after a regulatory crackdown. In Brazil, protesters supporting the former president Jair Bolsonaro besieged the Supreme Court, the presidential palace, and Congress on Sunday, calling for the military to intervene and oust the new president Lula da Silva. South Korea's unemployment rate rises to 11-month high in December 2022.